So in the 2000s, we reached a global audience for our exhibits with the potatomuseum.com. You can see it over there on the left, and Food Museum Online. We did all this internet things. We were pioneers in that while continuing our educational programs, collecting and research. And so you can see the Potato Museum. I'm just going to go through here, show you the content, some of the variety of things that we got involved with, and the exhibits and programs and issues. Hi, here's a little bit more about the two websites that we ran for many years. New versions of them are still exist. One of them contained the National Museum of Food and Farm, which was a proposal that we made, and we created basically a museum, the National Museum of Food and Farm for the U.S. online. It doesn't exist actually yet, but it's online. Look at this material that we have here. This was an introduction to food heritage, which is another huge subject. And we talked about food places that have been preserved, that are still exist, famous processing sites, seafood, all of this. Then, this is a section I was talking about of subjects that we exhibit online. You can see the volume. You can see the volume of licorice subjects that we did. Then I did eating in New Mexico. This was also an online exhibit. Look at the extent of it. This was all online for years about New Mexico food history and historic sites.
And this became a book.
Yeah, this became three books. 3 books, yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
All available on Amazon, people. All available.
And then you see the volume of this. This is a whole thing about the special exhibits that we used to do. And we were involved with school lunch reform and obesity crisis. And then all these other special exhibits. Now, I moved to Florida, got totally immersed in Florida food history, and came out of this was Eat Spinellis, and another book in the works. Just an example of what we're doing. I came across this woman in Tampa, Lily Aguero, who was doing these deviled crabs. Deviled crab is definitely a tradition in Tampa.
What does that mean, double crab?
Well, you know, deviled eggs. Yeah, deviled eggs.
Sorry.
So I covered her, reported on her and her efforts to revive a tradition. So that's what we've been doing with these two websites.
And are we exhausted?
Yes. So the content that you just saw, the volume of paper and all that ended up in these books. These are just some of the books that I wrote based on the content and the research we did that was on those websites. I just want to say, for those of us whose lives were mostly pre-internet, and everything was on paper. Sometime in the late 2000s, I made those photocopies you just saw of the content of those websites. I wanted to view them on paper. I got tired of always looking at them on screen. So the web saves trees, but tires my eyes. And for a variety of reasons, the Food Museum Online evolved into a more manageable and less expensive to maintain site. So let's move on here. So in spring of 2000, I was invited to make a presentation. At the last minute, the presenter that they had at this local elementary school couldn't make it. So at the last minute, just a couple of days before, I was invited, and they said, yeah, so I can do it. So fortunately, I had these really big props because I didn't realize that the audience was going to be 300 to 400 elementary school kids all sitting on the floor in a gymnasium. So I arrived, fortunately I had my big props, and we reenacted the Spanish coming to America, bringing things from the old world, horses and all sorts of food things and then so we can see these kids with their cardboard boat coming and going, and the kids in the audience had items like corn from the Americas, and the kids on the other side had little watermelon toys. And so it was a very interactive program. It's quite successful, and the teachers came up to me afterward and said, "That's the best program we've ever seen." Not only were the kids completely engaged, and but so were all the adults. The audiences that we've been doing educational programs are not usually that large. They're usually much closer and hands-on things. You can see some of the activities that we've been doing with kids. These are things that I developed over the years with my own students and then adapted them for these programs. Always took objects from our collection and let kids handle them. So this one, what you want to tell about this, Meredith?
I guess this is the math one.
Yeah.
We wanted the kids to see how big a French fry, frite, they could create, and that's what you see on the far right.
Yeah. So
measuring how many pieces of potato would make the biggest frite.
Yeah. So we used to say, "Here's a potato." We would measure the potato, and then we'd say, "How can we turn this potato into 2 feet long?" And then, of course, that we would French fry it and all that. Here's another one. What will we do here?
I don't know. You tell me.
Okay, so I
never understood this one.
So we would juice the potato to show the kids and audiences what a potato consists of. And of course, you can see that most of it is water, and then some of it is fiber, and then the other part would be the starch. And so the starch is that on the right-hand side, you can see that little white stuff. So it's showing the ingredients of a potato. We also always did lots of art projects, especially printing, potato prints there. So math and science and cultural awareness in our programs. For instance, on the left, these kids made graphs of their favorite ice cream flavors. And then I had them line up to make a physical graph of the kids. So you can see there on the left would be...
What is in the graph?
Well, see, so we asked the kids what their favorite ice cream flavor was.
Yeah.
It would be chocolate. You can see it over the left, upper top left.
Yeah.
So 7 or 8 kids said chocolate. And then 1 or 2 maybe said peach or something like that. So then we had the kids on the left all lined up, equivalent to how many kids like chocolate. This kid maybe likes vanilla, these kids. So it's physically graphing and math. Okay. On this side is cultural awareness. These kids made little banana boats. That is a tradition in Thailand at a certain holiday, and then they all floated away. This was one of our favorite things. So we would have explained how popcorn works. Popcorn is full of moisture, and as you heat it up, the water turns to vapor, and the vapor expands and explodes, and the kernel turns inside out. So
we exploded this, didn't we?
Yeah, so
in classrooms.
Yeah, so we would have the kids, we would explain that concept to them, and then we'd have the kids all upper left corner. You can see the kids all crowded together like their little kernels with their little moisture, water content. And then we would say, "We've heated you up," and then the kids would all jump up and burst up, reenacting the popping of the corn. So then we took that further. We had them in a big circle. We put, they all had protective eyewear, and we would turn the popper on. The popper would be in the middle of the circle with the top off, and that would pop all over the place, and then the kids would measure how far the furthest kernel popped. So this is popcorn science and math concept skills. All of this we built into our programs. Something at the end of all of our programs also was I had this gut or digestive system, and we would take it apart and stretch it across the room. So an adult male my size would have a gut that would be, I don't know, I think 21 feet long or something like that. Many